Call this meeting of Toledo City Council for January 21st, 2026 to order. First item, Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yay. All right. Paul, would you take a roll call, please?
Thank you, Mayor. Councilor Chambers?
Here.
Councilor Keating?
Here.
Councilor Burns has been excused. Councilor Kaufman?
Here.
Councilor Sylvia?
Yes, sir.
Council President Nix?
Here.
Mayor Cross?
Here.
Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you. At this time, is there anyone in the audience who would like to address council during public comment time?
Hi,
Just state your name for the record.
Brenda Brown, Toledo. So I'm here representing the History Center again, and just coming in to give you a quarterly report for your very generous contributions that made to us. So, oh, thank you. Okay, I didn't see them. So this quarter, of course, we participated in the Trick or Treat Main Street and had 747 kids. So it's kind of crazy, but a lot of fun. And other than that, we did a holiday sale or an event and, got a little bit of money from that. So those are really the only events that we've had this quarter. But we've had pretty good visitation. We had a family from Japan who came to visit and spent quite a bit of time there.
Good.
So it was kind of fun. So we will be coming back to request our third quarter payment, but we just wanted to update you tonight.
Thank you very much.
Okay, questions? No? Okay, thanks.
Thanks for all the wonderful.
Anyone else? Oh, yes, please.
So I'm Lisa Watson, and I'm here for the Yaquina Pacific Railroad Historical Society, basically doing the same thing as Brenda. So again, thank you again for the fiscal support. Last quarter, we participated in the pet parade that the city puts on. That was really fun. And we had our Christmas model railroad show. It was a pretty good turnout over the 2 days. It's a fundraiser as well. So it was successful. We will definitely be coming back and requesting help. The museum is temporarily closed at the moment. We're doing a purge and a deep clean. Yeah, if there's any questions.
I was going to ask about train trusses.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of
It's teeing itself up, but
people talking in the works and stuff, and so yes, it's making its rounds. But yeah. So once we reopen, I would love to have everybody come and visit, which we will.
When you're going to reopen?
I'm really hoping by like mid-February. Unfortunately, my volunteers tend to be on the wiser side, and so I don't like them working in the really dusty conditions just because it can really exasperate respiration and whatnot. So I'm doing a lot of the dirty work myself. Once we get to a better place, and we also have some people going through some medical procedures and things like that, so we're already a pretty small crew, so we're doing what we can, and yeah, hopefully by mid-February, end of February or so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else who would like to address council during public comments? Or anyone online who would like to address council? All right, hearing none, we will move on. So for the public's knowledge, items A, B, and C have been pulled from the consent agenda We need to do a different procedure for those, and so we are going to do that. So we are just considering on the consent agenda items D through Z.
I thought we were going to be able to think of every letter in the alphabet actually this week, but no, not quite. But we got close.
You were overreaching.
That's right.
I would move to accept the consent agenda as presenting of items D through Z.
Second, with the note of great appreciation to our city recorder, Paul, who has worked tirelessly to pour over our recordings from meetings over the last couple of years to make sure that our minutes were all accurately reflective of our meeting discussions and to catch us up on a lot of the materials and public records that we've just needed to have available to the public. So thank you, Paul, for all the work on that.
Thank you.
No problem.
So it's been moved by Tracy, seconded by Andrew to approve the consent agenda as amended.
As presented.
Technically, it's as amended because we amended it tonight before it was published.
Okay.
Take a roll call vote, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilor Chambers?
Abstain. Sorry, I wasn't here for these meetings. It seems appropriate to.
Councilor Sylvia?
Yes, sir.
Councilor Kaufman?
Yes.
Councilor Keating?
Yes.
Madam President Mix?
Yes.
Mayor Cross?
Yes. Thanks again, Paul. All right. Next item, community service reports and/or presentations to the council. Tonight we have the Lincoln County Genealogical Society. I know I can say it.
So I'm Mariel King. I'm the current president of the Lincoln County Genealogical Society. And we're here tonight to show our appreciation for the city of Toledo and the Toledo Public Library. This has been a little project that's been on our agenda for a few years. But anyhow, we're presenting this today to the library in appreciation for all their support over the years. I have a little letter here, it's not too long. I'll read.
No, you're fine.
Dear Toledo Public Library Director Harrison Baker and staff, the Lincoln County Genealogical Society would like to recognize and celebrate a remarkable milestone, 40 years of unwavering support from the Toledo Public Library in the city of Toledo. We are truly grateful for this enduring partnership. In honor of our longstanding collaboration, we are pleased to present you with this framed piece of original artwork by local artist Kit Sugar, depicting the former library located on Alder Street. Our society began in 1986, initially as Yaquina Genealogical Society, when a handful of passionate researchers set out to create a local resource for their community. Their goal was clear: to provide a place for education, to offer essential resources, and to champion the publication of important Lincoln County historical documents. Over the decades, the Toledo Public Library has been our irreplaceable home base. You have not only provided the crucial physical space for our meetings and special events, but have also served as a primary address for our administrative needs. Recently, and with the help of former library director Deborah Trusty and the continued support of Harrison Baker and his staff, Ancestry's Library Edition has been made available at the Toledo Public Library, and because they're part of the same regional group, Siletz and Waldport also has that access now. The Toledo Library has also provided space for us to hold monthly genealogy help desk for the community and continues to assist us in promoting our programs and events. What is perhaps the most impactful is the library's commitment to our specialized collection. Over the years, the directors and staff have skillfully managed our extensive and continually expanding collection of genealogical materials, making them accessible both to local patrons and family historians nationwide. As Harrison often recounts, sometimes these little bits of information found in books or materials in our collection are requested by someone many miles away through interlibrary loan. As family history researchers, we know these finds are sometimes the precise piece of the puzzle a struggling researcher needs to complete their family's story. Thank you for being steadfast ally, promoting our programs, managing our genealogical collection, and supporting our members as they continue their family history research journey and endeavor to create and publish historical materials for a global community of researchers. Your support has been fundamental to our success. With heartfelt gratitude and thanks.
Thank you so much.
Oh, and
That is amazing.
we really appreciate, and as it turns out, we also meet at the Timbers for our little planning committee that we started having, so.
Well, as a person who's going through Ancestry.com, because from my mom's side of the family, I'm not just the farthest west. I'm the farthest west by almost 3,000 miles.
Oh, is that right?
So for that side of the family, I don't have a lot of contact. I don't have a lot of data. And you doing this is vital, especially in today's world where we are all spread out everywhere. And we don't have all the contacts we used to have, everyone staying in one area. Please keep up the good work. And Harrison, another reason to be proud of you. Good job.
That's true. Thank you so much.
Go ahead.
Oh,
No, I was just going to say, during genealogy, I have what I call my sister cousin that I have connected with through DNA. I have a few other cousins that way that I've connected and gotten to be good friends with and communicate with on a regular basis.
That's what I'm hoping
And then
for.
being closer also to, even your immediate family and stuff, sharing information.
yeah, there was a time a few years ago that, as Mira referred to, I was just kind of looking, facing up the shelves in the genealogy section, and I found this, I think it was a green report binder. It wasn't a proper book. It wasn't a published work. It was something somebody had made that was some person and his descendants, and it was newspaper clippings, mostly just wheat pasted in. It looked like something from the opening credits of Seven, put together. And I thought, this is an interesting thing. I don't know who made it. Had never circulated. It had been on that shelf for probably 30 years, somewhere along there, maybe 20. And about 2 weeks after I found this, I get an interlibrary loan request from Washington for this thing. It was not only, did we still have it there, but it was in WorldCat somehow, and somebody found it, they got it, they returned it. It was waiting for that person who needed that information. It's amazing. That's one that their collection we treat with some reverence at a distance, because we don't know where all this stuff is going. Some of it moves a lot, some of it moves a little, but all of it puts a puzzle together. It all helps people, yeah.
Right.
I have a question. I ended up inheriting a few years ago some very old documents.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking Civil War and before. I have no idea what to do with them. Would you guys be able to help me get them to a museum or something? Love you girls, I'll be reaching out.
Yeah, do that. Yeah, we're all about that. We want to preserve records.
I mean, they're the types of documents, you open them up and you feel them and you feel like, I shouldn't be touching these, I'm too privileged. They're like that, so yeah.
Yeah, that's what we do, so.
Okay, great.
So,
I'll be reaching out to you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, as always.
And ladies, it's okay if you want to leave, if you don't want to sit through all the rest of it.
we might take it that I gotta go back to your house. It's a long, winding, well, not very winding, but it's a long.
Person's gonna hang that in the library.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you again, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We always learn work at the fire station. Maybe a library art program.
All right, our next item on the agenda is discussion and information items. The only one we have tonight is University of Oregon Sustainable City Year Program, the SCYP. Rich?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This item was brought to my attention by Councilor Keating. He wanted to bring it forward for council discussion. I appreciate him mentioning this evening that the length of the agenda his discussion this evening will kind of be an introduction of the program. And there's some material that's provided to council on the dais this evening about the program. So after council has an opportunity for discussion this evening and review that material, we can bring this back on a future agenda. But Councilor Keating, I'd love to have you lead the discussion on this item, please.
Yeah, so as I mentioned at our last meeting on the 7th, it was my intention to do a brief introduction tonight of this program with the expectation that it could give you something to think about for potentially, if we are interested in at least discussing whether or not we want to do this at a future work session, because I think that there's a lot of value to this program. A lot of cities in Oregon have taken advantage of it. And one of the things I noticed is that the coast is not really represented very well in the cities that have participated in this, and that could be nice. So a quick introduction, University of Oregon and the public institutions, public colleges and universities across the state collaborate on this Sustainable City Year program where cities put in proposals of either year-long partnerships or of individual projects where the city provides some staffing capacity to support what is ultimately most of the work being kind of taken on by students and faculty of relevant programs within the state university systems. So if we wanted to do, say, an economic development related project, we would be partnering with faculty and students interested in those areas of economic development to help carry out the initiatives that we want to bring to Toledo. If we wanted to do something around, planning, if we want to do something around engineering, public works, same type of deal. They would be ultimately the goal of this program is twofold. One, to create capacity for local municipalities where they might not have it to do projects that are ambitious but of high value to their community, while also providing hands-on educational opportunities to students and faculty, having the opportunity to participate sometimes in practical research and application of new models and ideas. So coming from higher ed systems, this is something that really, really excited me when I saw this program as it was being promoted by the League of Oregon Cities. One of the things that I think is really important to consider is that we have, I think, as a city, declining budgetary capacity to do a lot of the things that we really want to tackle as a city. We also have a lot of difficulty with figuring out where there is staffing capacity to take on new projects and initiatives. This can be something where we can put in a fraction of the cost and get a lot of the resources to help us try something that is important to us. And really all that I want us to be able to do is to have a conversation perhaps in the February work session, recognizing that the first week of March is the deadline to at least announce to the program that we are interested in it. We don't have to commit to anything. We don't have to commit any finances. We do not have to commit any staffing by early March. We simply would be announcing our interest in the program by March. So I'll tell you my first thought, something that I know Eric and Rod and I Eric's brought it up a couple of times. Rod and I have talked about it a lot. Revitalizing Main Street is something that I think is something that wouldn't necessarily require a lot of financial outlay from the city. If we wanted to, say, utilize this program to bring in students and faculty to do a community business needs survey to figure out what type of businesses can thrive in Toledo, and then to build out a recruitment strategy for how we can recruit businesses that match that model, that could be something that could be a really ambitious low cost to the city, not necessarily a lot of staffing needed from the city, but could be of high value to a program like this and of high value to the city. So just to give you some like my initial example of what excited me about this, but this document that you guys have in front of you is the program's summary that kind of gives community leaders what the program is all about. And really all I wanted to do was say, hey, read this between now and whenever we can get it on the agenda if it is something that you think we should put on the agenda.
If it pans out the way that their RARE program does, this will be more than valuable. I mean, more than valuable. You could also say invaluable because they get a lot of things done with the RARE program that otherwise cities of our size can't do.
Right.
And so if they're following that model, this could greatly help us with Main Street. It could help us with a couple other projects. So I hope everyone sits down and uses the cheat sheets on the back and write your notes down of what you would like to see it possibly do.
You ain't lying when you said it ain't represented on the coast. Itty bitty Dune City's the only one.
Dune City's the only one.
Where's
So
Dune City? Oh, never mind, I know where that is.
there you go.
So,
And council, I would just add to the example that Councilor Keating provided in terms of, a Main Street revitalization related project. As you heard from our new chamber director, that's one of her focuses as well. So if that's the project that we decide to apply for, if we do, I would imagine some support for that could also be provided from the nonprofit local sector as well.
Chamber director, she came on the 7th.
Yeah.
so your ask, Andrew, is that we basically just put it on for
On
discussion?
a work session agenda.
Absolutely.
And then I was also going to ask for council's sort of consent to allow me to perhaps reach out to some of the contacts that have been provided by the program from other cities that have partnered and maybe get some insight into what working on the program was like for them. Because they do provide some phone numbers and email addresses of cities that have participated. And I was going to just ask for your blessing to basically reach out to them on behalf of Toledo and.
Go forth and give me info.
I mean, do we have to give you the?
It's just a courtesy.
Okay, I was gonna say, because you're allowed to do that, aren't you? Just reach out to
I
them.
am, but it's more that I want to be able to come back with that. And I was also going to suggest that if maybe one of them really struck me as valuable, I might invite them to come and maybe talk if they are willing to come and talk to us about the program.
Or even some.
Well, that's what I mean, yeah. Most likely because,
Yeah.
none of them are local.
Thank you.
That's what.
And I will tell you, your city manager would be very appreciative if you're willing to undertake that lift. So thank you for offering. Appreciate it.
I think related to that, I'm curious, to just echo, I think that the project that you described is sort of exactly in line with the things that I think are priorities from my perspective. I think it'd be cool to have some fresh eyes on it and a creative look. I worked with this program when I was in Gresham. I was just looking on here, so it's going to date me a bit, but the 2009-10 project in Gresham was during my time out there, so I have some familiarity with the program. The big question for me, just going into the work session, is going to be focused on the cost, and so if there's an opportunity to check with the program or others who have worked with it, or garner some information about that. I note here that they have like a range of $100,000 to $350,000, which, just to preface, would be outside of my scope of comfort, but
That's also a pretty big range too.
yeah, that is a big range. But if they're so that would be my kind of big consideration is where things kind of fall. And I think one of the things that I would certainly want to be preparing as, and I can work with city staff on this as well to kind of think about what that scope might look like or what some of those costs might look like. But I think funding can come from multiple sources. We can absolutely partner with other organizations. So for instance, reaching out to, just as an example, GP, and saying, would GP be willing to invest a chunk of money like they do in a lot of nonprofit organizations that are doing work in our community? Would they be willing to invest if we were to put a program like this together and get it approved? Is this something, if we were focusing on, say, Main Street revitalization, is this something we can draw from urban renewal, for instance? Is there funding there that we can put toward this?
I believe there is.
And that might be a good source where we're not necessarily tapping into the city's budget, but we're tapping into money that is already available and very much in line with what we're trying to do with urban renewal district. So
This kind of ties into that meeting that we had at the library with that packet of stuff with all the notes I took.
Yep.
Where I was like, okay, I'm trying to formalize this into something, and I know I wanted to come back to it at a work session. I feel like we need a work session just on revitalization. That we
For the
need to
entire
be,
city.
for the
right?
entire city.
Right.
And we need to be able to show up in the morning and be able to hash things out and talk about them and not make any decisions, but really discuss on what direction we think our
Have
community is
an open
going.
and honest discussion
Yes.
about what's our vision for the next 15, 20 years within the city.
You could discuss that on February 7th too.
That could be a good part of our discussion.
And I think, reaching out to Oregon Community Foundation, Ford Family, some of those folks that are really interested in
Right. OCF, I think, would give money. to this.
absolute,
Yeah.
you throw the word rural on the application,
I
I'm
know.
giving you money. So I think there are funding partners out there that can
Yeah.
alleviate the city's cost for
Yeah,
sure.
alleviate us having to do the heavy lift.
Yeah, and I think if we're doing something that's more project as opposed to year-long partnership based,
Exactly.
then I think our cost is going to be lower, especially if we're doing something that's more based on, it's more academic, right? We're doing something that's a little bit more academic and strategic as opposed to doing something that's kind of a public works type project.
Right.
So.
Any other questions, council?
No, thank you, Amber, for spurring this then.
Thanks for letting me run.
So do we just want to add this to the February 7th work session? Do we want to?
February 7th, it would be the 25th.
No. What she's referring to
The
is our
council
council
retreat.
retreat.
That would be a good one too.
Yeah.
It would be good to have that.
I
on
mean,
that
are we
one.
gonna have enough time at that though, really?
Yeah, as I mentioned a second ago, that's going to be a big, your goal setting session. So this would be a very appropriate time to discuss that in terms of,
And goals. setting.
what goals you've talked about revitalization as one goal. So I will share this with your facilitator, and that will be an opportunity to kind of weave in how these goals you're setting might apply to a program like this.
Let's have a few less weeks to work on this thing.
We need to get some of the nuts and bolts,
Yeah, for sure.
right? Perfect. Just so that we have a little bit more.
Yeah, we don't have to
space
flush it all out or
No.
anything. We can, yeah.
But this does then need to be on our February work session.
Absolutely.
As an item, so,
Your very capable city recorder already made note of that,
of course he is.
right?
Thanks, everyone.
All right, our next is a decision item, RCA to approve regulatory agreement with Northwest Coastal Housing. That's NWCH to effectuate the previously approved system development charge.
Hold on, I need to get,
SDC for waiver for Olala Meadows Housing Development Project.
Really should.
Rolls right off the tongue, doesn't it, Mr. Mayor?
Oh, boy.
Thank you very much, sir. I'm going to give just a very brief introduction and invite the city attorney to provide a detailed update for council. So as you are aware at your meeting on, I believe it was August 20th, I was appearing remotely that evening because you had another, to me, important piece of business that evening to vote on, which was my appointment. You approved a request from Northwest Coastal Housing for a waiver of system development charges related to the Olala Meadows housing project. From that initial vote by council, that led to the negotiation of an agreement between the city and Northwest Coastal Housing to put down in writing the terms under which that waiver would be applied. And the city attorney has negotiated with her counterpart the agreement that appears in your packet this evening. So with that introduction, I'd like to turn it over to City Attorney Savani Miller to provide a report on the agreement in your packets. Savani.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. So I think it's pretty well spelled out in the RCA, but there is, unless council has any questions, which I'd be happy to answer about the agreement itself, there's just one provision that I wanted to raise with you all. And I let council for Northwest Coastal Housing know that we were going to be having this discussion this evening, but the one change that they requested to our proposed agreement was relating to the need to potentially subordinate the city's lien to another lender. And so that's something that happens occasionally with affordable housing, is that in order to secure additional funding to actually build the housing, the lender on that project wants to ensure that their lien will be the first one that's taken care of. And so at present, how our agreement is written is our lien comes first, but we will work in good faith with the lessee, meaning Northwest Coastal Housing, to change that arrangement around if they need to for funding. And so what we're requesting tonight is that council approve the agreement as it's written, and then also approve the city manager and city attorney to work together to negotiate that piece if it becomes necessary.
So, council, as an addition to that item that the city attorney just presented, is the way the very wordy recommended motion on your RCA would be, if you went with our recommended motion, what you would do is authorize Savani and myself to negotiate that agreement and execute it if the agreement meets with the approval of her as your city attorney and the attorney for Northwest Coastal Housing. You, council, of course, retain the right to require that any such agreement be brought back to you for action. So I just wanted to make sure you were aware ahead of time that the motion as presented to you would delegate the authority to negotiate that agreement to Savani and myself. If you want to retain that to yourself, I'm happy to work with council to provide an updated motion. So I'll defer to your discussion on that portion of it.
Questions, council? Comments?
Instead of city manager, I would like to specifically put city manager Rich Huebner. That way, if for some reason something happens tomorrow, we have a new city manager that's not comfortable with this, or that we don't feel comfortable doing this with, we would be forced to address it again. And that might not be a bad thing.
I can see that.
I can see it, I just don't know if we can do that. I don't know if we can tie that to a particular city manager. Savani?
I think that's within your authority.
Okay.
And certainly if something comes up that we feel needs to be addressed by council, we would bring it back anyway.
Thank you.
And so I think that that's well within your authority. We understand that gives us the direction. We understand the intent of council. And if you want to formalize that in the motion, that's perfectly acceptable.
Everybody else
at that point, we would bring it back.
Or do you feel it's
We
unnecessary?
could do the same thing.
She read my mind. I was going to mention, if you'd like to limit it to both myself and city attorney Savani Miller.
City attorney Savani Miller, so we're gonna add that too.
Just a quick question on this. So can you describe the mechanics of the lien? I'm coming into this a little bit new. I'm familiar with the project and a little bit of the past history of it, but if you can describe how the lien's structured and what the intent of it is, that would be helpful.
City attorney, do you want to tackle that one?
Sure. So the lien is
I'm pretty confident I could, but I'm more confident in her.
so the lien is against the improvements that Northwest Coastal Housing is building on the property, and it's in the amount of the
SDC waiver.
SDCs that we're waiving.
What's it securing? Because we're as I understand this, and again, coming in brand new, my understanding might not be right. We're backfilling the utility funds that we're giving the SDCs with strategic reserve funds.
Correct.
And we're securing the strategic reserve fund investment with a lien. For what purpose?
So, and I will give you what I know about this, okay? What I understand about this is if they default on the proviso of the affordable housing.
If it ceases to be affordable.
If it ceases to be affordable, it's sold to a for-profit, whatever, we have to get reimbursed for that.
Got it.
Right.
Yep. Perfect.
Which is why the lender, some lenders may have concerns with that, because obviously they're putting funding into actually building the structure. So at a later date, we may need to negotiate that, but we may not. We just don't know yet.
And for the language of the recommended motion for city attorney, should we say city attorney Savani Miller, or is it better, Savani, for us to leave that as just the city attorney? I'm just kind of recognizing that we've retained a firm, but I know that you're representing in the role of city attorney.
I thought the same.
Yes, so I have been handling those negotiations.
Okay.
So it's totally your preference. You know, there are others in the firm who are perfectly capable of handling it. I have every confidence that they would if I were not available, but that's totally your preference.
An alternate approach along Councillor Keating's vein, if you wanted a middle ground on that one, would be to list city attorneys as retained of the firm of Miller Nash, something like, if you wanted to limit it to the firm, but not necessarily Savani herself in case there's a change there. Again, up to council, but that was just a thought that occurred
Maybe
to
I'm
me.
just being too worrisome. You know, maybe I'm just being a little too
And I think
protective after everything we've been through.
And I think the weight of the trust is very much, the comfort level is also very much with Rich. I
Yes.
think.
And Savani.
So, and Savani for sure. So,
Yeah.
I appreciate it. First off, I very much appreciate the confidence of council. To your point, Madam President, I don't think that you're being overly, whatever adjective you used there a moment ago, because
I'm not sure what it was either.
in the event that I get hit by a bus tomorrow and you have to have a new city manager or train, if you don't have that level of confidence, I'm going to ... turn the page on that one. But if you don't have the same confidence in that city manager, if the point you made earlier, if that city manager isn't comfortable having that level of authority delegated to them, then I think it makes sense what you're contemplating. So I think it's a middle ground to not feel the need to retain that necessarily to council, but still give you that ability if there's changes in your staffing between approval and when that date actually comes.
And I'm really hoping not. I mean, I'm praying not, because
So is your city manager, by the way.
yeah, thank you. And because we have a great team and it's improving daily. And we're in a place of feeling protected and comfortable, and like we have staff that we can rely on. And I mean, most of our staff has always been that way, if not all of them at certain aspects. But so I don't want to badmouth anybody. I'm always concerned. So
Well, I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve the regulatory agreement between the City of Toledo and Northwest Coastal Housing, NWCH, to effectuate the previously approved System Development Charge, SDC waiver for the Olala Meadows Housing Development Project, authorize City Manager Rich Hebner to execute the agreement, and expressly authorize City Manager Hebner in consultation with City Attorney Savani Miller to negotiate and execute any additional agreements necessary to work in good faith with lessee, if necessary to subordinate the city's lien or modify the agreement in order for NWCH to obtain funding.
I second that.
You ready to repeat that, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, because it's exactly what I had written down. It's been moved by Andrew, seconded by Tracy, to approve the regulatory agreement between the City of Toledo and Northwest Coastal Housing, NWCH, to effectuate the previously approved System Development Charge, SDC, waiver for Olala Meadows Housing Development Project. Authorize the city manager to execute the agreement and expressly authorize City Manager Rich Hebner in consultation with City Attorney Savani Miller to negotiate and execute any additional agreements necessary to work in good faith with the lessee, if necessary to subordinate the city's lien or modify the agreement in order for NWCH to obtain housing.
To obtain funding.
Funding, thank you.
You bet.
Just for the house.
Yeah.
Now you gotta do it all over again.
Please take a roll call, Paul.
Be happy to. Counselor Chambers,
Yes.
Counselor Sylvia,
Yes, sir.
Counselor Kaufman,
Yes.
Madam President,
Yes.
Counselor Keating,
Yes.
Mayor Cross.
Absolutely, yes. Wholeheartedly, yes.
6001.
All right, next item. Request for council action to approve ordinance number 1434, amending the Toledo Municipal Code, TMC, chapter 13.44 for affordable housing.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And one note on this item, council. We did not get the agenda published at least a week ahead of the date of this meeting. So the request to you this evening is to approve this ordinance on first reading. If you do so, it will be brought back at your next business meeting for second reading and approval. It is city procedure that if an ordinance is not published at least a week in advance of the meeting, you can't approve it on two readings at the same meeting. So with that said, what you have in your packet this evening, as the mayor introduced, ordinance number 1423. It's codified at your Toledo Municipal Code. 1434. I'm sorry, no, ordinance number 1423, which is codified in your Toledo Municipal Code as chapter 1344. So there's, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You're correct. I'm going into background. Mayor, you were correct. There's too many 14s and 13s in this RCA. So what you have in front of you this evening is the request to approve as first reading ordinance 1434. That will enact amendments to Toledo Municipal Code chapter 1344.
First base.
First base. So, chapter 1344 was initially codified under ordinance 1423. We now have all the 14s, 20s, and 13s in the correct order on the record. When you adopted ordinance 1423, the council authorized exemptions to the system development charges, similar to what you just approved through agreement with Northwest Coastal Housing. As under review of chapter 1344, in preparation for the agreement that you just approved, the city attorney identified the need for some cleanup of a number of Scrivener's errors in that section of code and to incorporate some minimal clarifications related to the eligibility criteria for SDC waivers. So eventual enactment of this ordinance will better align the Toledo Municipal Code with the original intent of the ordinance. So in your packet this evening is the RCA and the ordinance 1434 with strike-throughs and bold text to indicate where additions or subtractions from the code has been made. Savani, do you have anything you would add to that presentation?
Just that the first, I think, 3 additions are kind of to correct Scrivener's errors. The affordable housing is housing for incomes lower than 80% of the median family. Multifamily structure is a term that's used throughout the statute. It's the same as a multifamily residential structure, so we want to add that to make that clear. And then the last change in that subsection B there is to align the code with Oregon law, so that this applies to residential structures containing 20 or more housing units.
All right, any questions from council?
Just a big thanks for Savani and everybody's work on this.
Very much so, thank you. All right, I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve on first reading by title or only ordinance number 1434, an ordinance of the city of Toledo, Oregon, amending title municipal code chapter 13.44, clarifying definitions related to affordable housing and multifamily structures and clarifying the eligibility criteria for system development charges, SDC waivers.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Frank, seconded by Andrew, to approve on first reading by title only, ordinance number 1434, an ordinance of the city of Toledo, Oregon, amending Toledo Municipal Code, chapter 13.44, clarifying definitions related to affordable housing and multifamily structure, and clarifying eligibility criteria for system development charge, SDC waivers. You take a roll call vote, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilor Chambers?
Yes.
Councilor Kaufman?
Yes.
Council President Mix?
Yes.
Councilor Keating?
Yes.
Councilor Sylvia?
Yes, sir.
Mayor Cross?
Yes.
Motion passes 6001.
All right, our next item is an RCA to approve resolution number 1595, authorizing interfund transfers to repay the System Development Charges Fund for exempted SDCs related to the Olala Meadows project. Rich?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the final action for council needed to formally effectuate the waiver and repayment plan for that process for the Olala Meadows housing project is this particular resolution. So at your meeting in August, you discussed exactly the format under which the Strategic Reserve Fund will repay the SDC fund for the fees that were waived. And you asked your interim finance director to make a recommendation on a period of either 5 years or 10 years for the repayment window, as well as a recommended interest percentage charge, and when that charge went into effect. So each of those items are reflected in Resolution 1595. Interim Finance Director Judy Richter has recommended a 5-year repayment window that would begin on the repayment annual payment shall occur once per year on July 1st, the first day of the new budget year. That would begin this year, July 1st, 2026. As I mentioned a moment ago, the payment would be made each of the next 5 years, concluding on July 1st, 2031. The payment will be estimated at $250,084.03 per year. That will include a
Per year?
I'm sorry, no, that's the total. My bad. Thank you. My bad.
And
Thank
why,
you.
hallelujah.
50,000.
I'm sorry, you finish and then I have a question.
Okay, very good. So as I mentioned a moment ago, that estimated total includes the 4.6% interest rate that Judy has recommended. So as I mentioned a moment ago, the repayment plan shall be budgeted for as part of the city's annual budget and paid in full over a term not to exceed 5 years ending in 2031. That concludes my report.
Go ahead.
Why is it different than the amount that the loan is forgiven for? The amount forgiven, the forgiven SDCs are $285,472.96. Why are we only repaying to the fund $258,084.03?
That's what I was asking you about earlier.
Judy, did I have a typo there, or
Yes.
do you? Okay, I apologize if I did. We've been working on the document for a while. Judy, do you have the correct dollar amount?
I don't have it in front of me right at the moment. I'm sorry. I noticed that there was a discrepancy, but I assumed that maybe had some interest calculated into it.
And that was my first thought as well. So the first thought that I had was that the 258.84 was that the estimated total of the waiver itself, and then the 285 would be the impact with the, okay, Tracy's shaking her head.
The waiver was the $285,472.96.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Well, in that case, I didn't catch that when the packet was assembled, so.
There might be a reason for a difference.
Yeah, but it doesn't sound like we have the answer to the question tonight, Mr.
We'll
Mayor.
table this until our next business meeting on the first meeting of February.
That would be my recommendation. The other thing I was going to mention in my report this evening, later on, is that I'm anticipating calling a brief special meeting next week to appoint budget committee members, assuming we get the applications done. So if we do end up calling that meeting, I'll put this on your special meeting agenda next week. If we don't have that meeting, first meeting in February.
Perfect.
And my apologies for the error, folks.
So any other questions before we move forward?
Just a quick one, and it might be for the interim finance director, but is the interest charge a statutory requirement? Do we have to charge interest?
I believe that we do.
Okay, if we can confirm that before the next meeting, because if we don't have to charge a general fund resource interest to a utility fund, no offense, Brian, but the utility money comes in easier than the general fund revenue.
Absolutely.
I would prefer not to charge ourselves interest in that.
Since we're not taking action this evening, absolutely, Counselor, we'll look into that and confirm that that is a requirement for next week. So again, Council, my apologies. I should have caught that. And we'll bring this back at the next meeting where action is expected for finalization.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, our next item is a motion to approve the city manager to sign a contract with Chavez Consulting to provide ORMS services to the city of Toledo, noting the typo in ORMS. So that includes the ORMS pricing guide, the ORMS MSA, and email from Jace Madsen. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to give a brief introduction on this because it connects to the next item that you have as well. And then I'm going to let Paul speak more in depth on this item because he really is the one that did the legwork and brought it forward. So as I mentioned in my city manager report at your last meeting, there was there's an RCA next item in the packet to consider a contract with Civic Plus for an update both to the city's website and some additional technology upgrades for the city. One of the things that we had included in that package, and I'll speak more to that in a moment, is Next Request, which was a platform for public records. What that really was, what that would really be is a platform for members of the public to submit their requests to the city. The city staff would then go and find the responsive records for that request. They could then be uploaded to that portal, and the payment for the time and effort put into that request could be made through that portal. And that sounded like a really great piece of technology for the city to utilize. However, Paul really brought forward what you have now in front of you, and we really talked about this is probably the better first step for the city to implement, which is a contract with a contractor to the state. That's where Chavez Consulting comes in. They are a contractor with ORMS, the Oregon Record Management System, and they have an online repository where cities that contract with them can digitize their records, have them stored digitally with ORMS, and they are searchable by the public. So when we know that a record that a member of the public has requested has been submitted by the city into this system, we can direct the requester to that platform to find the record. It will really reduce the amount of time that staff have to put into public records requests. It will include time to digitize those records, but there's some resources available in the contract to help us through that goal. So I've spoken enough. I really want to give Paul the opportunity to talk about this program that he brought forward. So, Paul.
Thank you, Rich. Council and Mayor Cross, this essentially is moving us away from all these file cabinets we have in the back office and all the boxes that we have down in the basement that are just gathering dust. It's going to allow us to digitize all these records that makes them more available to the public. It also is going to allow us, because of recent changes in the records retention schedule and management programs through the archives division, saying that a digital copy is just as good as a paper copy. So that will allow us to have more space available when we possibly move into our new building. So we won't have to have all of this come with us. And it's my suggestion that this is going to be a better system than Next Request. It will take more, there is initially more work on the front end, but in the back end and over time, it will allow the citizens to access the documents as well as increase that transparency that we're desperately trying to increase for the community. Yes, ma'am.
Quick question. So this would be through Chavez Consulting, but say we no longer have them providing this or this company. would we lose our records or would we, so they're downloaded to their cloud and we say, we don't want to go with you guys anywhere, we've got this other system we want to go, what happens to all our records?
All of our records are still maintained because essentially they are the repository for the entire state digital record right now
Okay.
that everyone's moving to. For instance, the city of Milwaukee has been working with them for almost 20 years on this project. So essentially all of their documents are now online, and I believe the way they have it set up that it's going to stay that way.
Okay.
To Paul's point, I would add that, as I mentioned in my intro, Chavez Consulting is the company that the state contracts with to perform this function on their behalf. For us, to kind of the way you formed your question, Council President, if we were to not have Chavez Consulting, that means that the state has terminated their contract with Chavez. The state is then required to either take on that management themselves or find another contractor to fill that role. So I agree with Paul's statement. Even if Chavez is not involved anymore, this will still be a function that is
So it's already been
available.
addressed and they've brought
And
it.
it's in the contract, I can't remember exactly where, but the state is the ultimate, for lack of a better word, oversight.
Thank you. I'm not surprised I missed that part. We only had a couple pages.
Yeah.
300 exactly.
And Council, Mr. Mayor, one of the things I do want to reiterate is that this is not necessarily we're going to sign a contract with them tomorrow. We have to have what's called a needs assessment meeting with an archivist and Chavez Consulting, which is scheduled for, I believe, first part of next month. After that, if what they have available for us meets our needs and everything, that's when we would proceed to a contract with them.
Any other questions?
I love this. I'm very excited about this. Some of you know, I have experience as a state agency public information officer and somebody who's been responsible for fielding and responding to public records requests. And so I love this. I think this is great, and I think that something we were talking about in the discussion item I brought up earlier is just how staffing capacity is such a challenge, and I think we know from before Paul got here, one of the things that we love to joke about was how many hats we were asking our city recorder to wear, and I'm sure you've got a couple that you still have to wear in some of our new structure. Anything that we can do to alleviate some of those processes is enormous, because typically when it comes to public records requests, the public is responsible for certain costs of materials that might be needed. Like if they are getting paper records, they need to pay for the printing, things like that. But typically the government is responsible for providing the staff, right? The time that goes into it. And that can be a very time-consuming, very costly resource to the city. So I absolutely love this. I'm glad to see that we're going in this direction, and thank you for the work.
I move to approve the city manager to sign a contract with Chavez Consulting to provide an electronic records management system with the option to include the CJIS portion of the ERMS to explore options and equipment for the scanning of documents through an internal employee or through a third-party vendor.
Yeah.
And Council, I just forget to mention one part, there is a CJIS, in case you don't know that, that's the Criminal Justice Information System that would enable the police department to store their historical records in a higher security portion of the state's ORMS. And that would be, like our payment would be, it's a subscription service that we pay them every month. One thing I also forgot to mention that this, unlike Civic Plus's next request, there isn't a 3 to 5% lift every year. Any development improvements of the software, they do all that as part of our subscription price. So unless something changes, that they say we're gonna have to charge you $50 more a month, that price should stay pretty stable. That's moving forward.
So before we take the roll call vote, this is a game changer for me because we do not live in an area that is immune to disaster. And the one thing that I've always been concerned about is all of that history that is down in that basement and that is in all of our filing cabinets and whatnot being gone in an instant. This rectifies that problem so that people in the future, for whatever reason, if they want to go to check something, they'll be able to go check all the way back as far as we have records, which I understand that we still have records down there from 1905. And I think that's valuable in and of itself. Would you take a roll call? Oh, I got to say this. My part, right? It's been moved by Eric, seconded by Andrew, to approve the city manager to sign a contract with Chavez Consulting to provide an electronic records management system with the option to include CJIS portion of the ERMS to explore options and equipment for the scanning of documents through an internal employee or through a third-party vendor. Please take your roll call vote.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilor Sylvia?
Yes, sir.
Councilor Kaufman?
Yes.
Council President Nix?
Yep.
Councilor Keating?
Yes.
Councilor Chambers?
Yes.
Mayor Cross?
Yes.
And I'll just mention really quick that Chief Pace, we kind of learned late in the process about the extra CJIS options available with this product. So when we have the needs assessment here on site, we'll make sure that you and Wendy are invited to that discussion so you're up to speed on what that option looks like.
I would appreciate that. I want to reach out to other agencies that might have the same system to see what their experiences are as well before we say yes on this.
That'd be great. Thank you.
All right. Motion carries 6-0. We now have an RCA motion to approve the city manager sign a contract with Civic Plus to purchase a website upgrade, agenda meeting management, and Civic Request software packages.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you recall, Council and Council President, I know this one is a little new to you. During the meeting on January 7th, I presented some options on screen that the city staff had been looking at. The way this started was kind of looking at our current website, which I think we all agree is a little dated and long in the tooth. That was on a platform with a company called MuniCode, and MuniCode was subsequently bought by Civic Plus. And so those cities, a lot of them here in Oregon that are on the MuniCode platform, are very slowly moving through the process of updating their websites to a more user-friendly and contemporary appearance. So that's how the conversation with Civic Plus started, was looking at doing a website upgrade. They introduced us during that initial discussion to a product called AudioEye, whichever way we go with this package, and I'm going to introduce some additional information and would be open to discussion with council during at the conclusion of my presentation. But whichever way we go with the full products that we want to pursue, AudioEye is going to be a really important piece for us. As I mentioned in my presentation a couple weeks ago, that's the program that is fully integrated with Civic Plus's websites that those with visual impairments can utilize to have the website read to them, making our website accessible to those with visual deficiencies. And that's become a real strong focus of the Department of Justice in relation to the Americans with Disabilities Act. So whether we do the website update or not, which I strongly recommend that we do, AudioEye is definitely something that we need to look at implementing on our website. So in addition to the website upgrade and the integration of AudioEye, initially staff was planning to propose that council approve us to incorporate two other programs. One would be Next Request, which I mentioned a moment ago and we'll speak to in a little bit more detail in a moment. And then the third is the agenda meeting management system, which is really where I think you'll see the most forward-facing improvement in our systems. So currently, our staff write their RCAs in Word documents, and we have a shared drive folder. We call it the T drive here on the staff side. So staff write their RCAs in Word documents. They go into the T drive folder for the particular meeting. They upload their RCAs and their attachments if there are any. And then I go through Thursday and Friday. I approve those items literally by dragging them from one folder to another. Paul goes through and converts all the Word documents into PDFs and then literally assembles your packets that can be anywhere from 50 pages to the 300-page packet that the council president is giving me the side eye about. And he assembles all of those individually into the packets that you receive. And then, of course, that's loaded up on the website. One of the big deficiencies of the system, in addition to the staff time that goes into it, is while you can do a Control F and search by keyword, this morning during our weekly agenda meeting, the mayor had a question about one of the terms in the Chavez Consulting contract that you just approved. And I thought for sure he had said it was section 10.3. Well, there wasn't a 10.3, it was 10C. But I was trying to keyword search for 10.3 in a 300-page packet, and I wasn't finding it. But one of the things that this new system will do is when you open the full agenda packet, each item automatically becomes clickable. So you're on page 2 of the agenda, and you say, I want to go to item 8C. You click on the header, and it takes you right to it. It also streamlines the staff side of things because it's a cloud-based online platform. The RCA template is built in. You go and fill it in just like you do a Word document. You click submit. It goes into a workflow that I automatically then get an email saying, hey, city manager, Public Works Director Laura Moore has put in an RCA. It's ready for your review. I review it. We can set up the workflow so that at some level along the way, the finance director and the city attorney also review it before it gets approved. The agenda is built as a template in the system, and as the final approver clicks approve, that item automatically drops in. So it really streamlines the process of building your packets for your city recorder as well, who, as Councilor Keating mentioned a minute ago, has a lot of hats that he wears.
Minutes. How does it do those? Is it just a template or?
There is a template for the minutes as well. So the agenda is basically right there. So your votes, for example, when one of the last ones, Councilor Chambers made the motion, Councilor Keating made the second. Paul then goes through and calls your votes, and he's frantically scribbling notes next to him. He could literally have the minutes portal on his computer screen, click who made the motion, who made the second. You can literally do the vote right there in the system, and then that automatically putting in the check boxes that the city recorder inputs into the system, that automatically will put in the phraseology into those minutes. Councilor Chambers made the motion, Councilor Keating made the second, vote passed 6-0 if that was the case, simply by him putting in those buttons and Civic Plus having built the back end for us.
Nice.
So again, really streamlining the process for your department heads as they submit their RCAs, for your city recorder as he builds the packet, for your city manager as he reviews and approves everything. Wow, I just referred to myself in the third person. So I'm still recommending this evening that council approve the website update, audio I, and the agenda meeting management system. What I'm really recommending is that you authorize me to if the terms are acceptable, and I'll tell you why I emphasize that in a moment, to enter into a contract with Civic Plus for those items. Here's the update for you. I'm very appreciative to our interim finance director who, as I was putting this RCA together, brought up the question not only of cost, but also of staff bandwidth as we would be incorporating not only these new tools, but also the ORMS tools that you just approved. And so she brought up some very pertinent points that led to some very good conversation between myself and Paul about what's our bandwidth and what's our needs. And we both agreed that the ORMS technology and that agreement was really where our needs with public records begin and strongly lie. The mayor made the point about all of the records back to 1905 in the basement. So what would really, we felt, have the biggest impact for staff is having that tool and getting our records digitized and knowing where they are and how we make them available to the public in the most convenient manner. And then over the next year, as we implement that system, we can begin to really track the number of records requests that we get, the time that goes into fulfilling them, which will really answer to us, do we need this centralized platform? Or when we get a request, if it's really easy to say, go to this website, the ORMS website, it's available right there, then that may not be a tool that we truly need at our level and would save us the cost of that tool. So as I mentioned in my presentation 2 weeks ago, as we negotiated the package that is in your packet this evening in the form of Civic Plus's quote, they included a 15% discount across the board on each of those items for us. And so I went back to them this morning, and actually yesterday I got the response this morning of, if we were to decide that we didn't want to pursue next request right now, decided we wanted to add it next year, for example, if we did, would the 15% discount apply to items that were added later? And I didn't expect that the answer would be yes, but I was kind of hoping it would. I got the answer that I expected, which was no, it would apply to the things that you purchase right now. Then I got what was kind of an unexpected extra piece of information, and it's why I emphasized a minute ago that I'm asking you to authorize me to execute a contract if the terms are agreeable. It was brought to my attention that if we alter the quote that was provided, that may impact the discount itself. And so I crunched some numbers this afternoon. Even if we remove the next request piece at this point, it's still a pretty significant upsell for Civic Plus on what we are considering pursuing at this time. And I made the point to them via email toward the end of the day that that was the case. And that if we were to remove one piece of the one element of the quote that is a quarter of the overall cost, if you turn around and tell me that you're going to take away the 15% discount, that really makes it less palatable overall. The product that we're contemplating removing from the quote the next year would be just under $4,000. The ultimate savings, if they removed that 15% discount in whole, would actually only save us about $1,500. And that didn't sit well with me. So I very politely informed them that, you know, the bandwidth of my staff and where we feel our needs are right now may lead us to come back to you tomorrow and say, okay, we want the website, we want audio and we want an agenda meeting management. We don't think next request is appropriate at this time. If you tell me at that point that you're pulling this discount, I am likely to then say, well, I'm not going to sign the contract right now. I need to get pricing from some of your competitors. Granicus, for example, that may be a company you might be familiar with, Councilor Keating. They're one of Civic Plus's, real close competitors. They make very similar appearing websites. I don't know all the other tools they have at this point because I have experience with Civic Plus. But I did let the vendor know that if they were to significantly impact the pricing, if I were to remove one item from the quote, that I would probably decline to sign the contract at that point and get other pricing models so that I could ensure that where they were at that time was really the best deal for the city. So I'm throwing a lot of additional info at you this evening in addition to what I shared last week. So I am open to any questions you may have at this time, Council.
Yeah,
I knew you'd have one.
well, it's more to add to the thought that the level of overhaul that the website is going to require, regardless of which vendor we use to do it, that's not a small lift by any means.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
I've overseen this process in a lot of places, a lot of organizations of different sizes. I've had everywhere from a 2 to 3 person team working on it to, 40 students, helping to migrate content to a new platform. It can take months of lots of staff capacity. It can take, and I think, something that really jumps out at me too is, I think that the OMRS is, forms is ORMS. I think that the ORMS stuff is paramount, right? It's super important. It's going to be very, very time consuming. There's nothing that bothers me about the idea of pushing back on Civic Plus and saying, we're fine not doing this for a couple of months because we're going to be buried in electronic records management anyway.
Yeah.
And so just thinking about our capacity issues for staff and wanting to prevent burnout, wanting to prevent putting too many hats on people, I feel very comfortable with the idea of saying if they withdraw that, because the first thing I thought was that next request thing does to me feel almost redundant, or at least,
Yes.
it feels very redundant, and I'm glad that you brought the ORMS stuff to us first. If they pull the rug out on that 15% discount, I say it's not even just a matter of, we're going to go and talk to your competitors, because Civic Plus, I feel like to some extent, they're going to have competitive pricing with their competitors, in my experience. They're not going to be bothered by that, but I also feel very comfortable saying, cool, we're going to put a pause on this project as a whole because we have good reason to focus on the one that's a higher priority.
Yeah.
And that to me is
And the one thing I would add to your point, Counselor, is I do agree that Civic Plus's pricing is pretty comparable to their strong competitors. If I were to be able to go to one of those competitors and say, hey, I'm in the market because they yanked this discount, you want to give me a 10 or a 15% discount? Yeah, exactly. So I'm very in alignment with your points. So I still would, if council is open to it, I would still love the authorization this evening to be able to negotiate and enter into that contract if the terms are agreeable to me. But I'm happy to answer any further questions that you may have as well, council.
Frank? I have a couple questions.
Yeah.
So first question is the 4590 that would be due this year, do we have that? Because I don't know where strategic fund is that. Do we have that in there right now for that?
We do. Yeah, I checked the strategic reserve fund before writing the RCA. We have between 7 and 7,500 in that fund currently at the moment. So we do have the capacity to absorb the implementation fees that would be due in this budget year if we decide to go forward.
And then I'm sitting here looking at the plan, the pricing. I don't understand the automatic or the annual reoccurring services starting year 3. What does that mean?
Yeah, so in year 1, as you saw, the fees that would be due are the implementation fees on each of the items, and then beginning with what they refer to as year 2, which begins September of this year and covers the subsequent calendar year from there, because that's our current renewal date, Pacific Plus. So the 16,988.77 that you see there for year 2 is each of the items listed above that is not implementation. So that's where it gets a little tricky. So you gotta add up the dollar amounts of everything that does not say implementation, and then add 3% to it. Paul referenced in his comments a moment ago, there's a 3% lift on annually of Civic Plus's items. So 16,988.77 is every non-implementation cost that you see in the quote raised by 3%. So to your question, Counselor, of what does that mean starting in year 3, that's their wording of saying it's going to be 3% above what year 2 was. So they've broken out exactly what the cost is going to be in year 1 and year 2. So year 3 simply starts with previous year plus 3%. That's what that means.
Are they intending to keep it at 3%?
Yes.
Continuously, doesn't matter how many years we have it?
Yes. Yeah. So that is where they state annual uplift. It does say 3% to be applied in year 2. It says that specifically, but the annual uplift is 3%. That's part of the deal. Yep.
Annual subscription service increasing by a less than inflation rate.
Yeah.
Essentially, that just covers their back end costs.
Right, yeah.
Any software upgrades, anything like that.
And I assume if we approve all this, this will all be added to be budgeted in with our budget starting next year.
Yep.
To come out of strategic reserve.
I'm envisioning it being, I'm going to put it in as a capital improvement plan request. And then we will all work collectively through the budget process to figure out exactly whether that's strategic reserve, whether that's, we'll figure out the cost center. But that was part of the deal with them is, hey, I can likely absorb the implementation fees this year, but the annual subscription cost has to be in the next budget year. And they said, well, your renewal date currently is September 1st. We'll keep it there.
I was just concerned with adding 16,000, 17,000 on top of the 50-some thousand we just approved to be taken out of strategic. I didn't want to drain our fund with out it getting there.
Totally.
And some context from a couple of weeks ago, just as a reminder, and also Tracy, since I know you weren't here for this, that there are some improvements that are necessary to our website that I believe new state law is requiring of us, that regardless of whether we were to do this whole thing or not, that would account for a lot of these annual costs.
Correct.
So really, some of those budgetary concerns are ones that we were going to be having regardless of whether we did this whole thing. So a decent chunk, and I don't remember how much of it was off the top of my head, but a decent chunk of that $16,000, $17,000 a year is something that we would be expected to assume regardless.
Yeah.
You guys, thank you for filling me in when I'm playing hooky. No.
And Councilor Keating, to your point too, the Secretary of State just came out with some clarification about that ADA compliance. Cities over 50,000 people have to be compliant by April 2026. Cities under 50,000 get until April 2027 to become compliant. So we have a little bit of time, but the way they structured the quote is that we're going to do it then, so they don't have to do it later, because it's going to be easier for them to do it when we upgrade the website.
So just a question on the financial side of it. So this is a shared asset across our city and its utilities.
Yes. Yes.
So should we explore paying for it partially out of the strategic reserve fund to cover the general funds portion of this, and the utilities forking up their piece of it? I mean, it should be like a 60-40 split, so that $16,000, $17,000 general fund impact should be closer to like, $8,000 or $9,000, and then our utilities could pick up the rest. It's probably also capitalizable, at least the implementation piece of it. So we could hit the utility capital budget on the utility portion of it.
I'm envisioning if Brian had 10-foot legs, he's probably kicking you under the table, Counselor. But you are absolutely correct that this is a product that can be capitalized across the budget, because to your exact point, it serves the entirety of the city's operations.
I love Brian's "no, sir, I'm a team player" face. He's gonna turn back more.
He's got a better poker face than the city manager.
I've had a long day. I'm just trying to take this all in.
We only pick on those we love.
We're not gonna tell Cass.
It's not the employer.
After this,
Any other questions, Council? Very good.
I would entertain a motion.
So just to clarify, what is the amendment to the recommended motion language that you wanted, Rich?
So I don't believe, Counselor, that we need any amendments to the recommended motion, because what you're doing is authorizing me to enter into a contract with Civic Plus. I just wanted to let you all know that I'm asking for, I wanted to let you know that even if you extend me the authorization tonight, that still has to be under terms that I find acceptable.
Do you want me to say to negotiate and execute?
Yes, that would be great.
To execute a contract.
So what he's adding there is
Adding
words to
negotiate.
negotiate. That'd be great, Counselor. I appreciate that.
I move to approve and authorize the city manager to negotiate and execute a contract with Civic Plus for upgrades to the city's website and associated technology. That's the negotiators.
Second.
And I have a question.
Okay.
Is imparities a word?
Is what?
Oh, no, it's not written there. You said it. Is imparities a word? Now stop. Is imparities a word?
When did I say that?
What
In
word?
any event,
I don't know.
Oh,
it's
I
been moved
don't
by-
know. I might have created a new one. I'll find out. Apologies, Mr. Mayor.
It's been moved by Andrew and seconded by Frank to approve and authorize the city manager to negotiate and execute a contract with Civic Plus for upgrades to the city's website and associated technology. Please take your roll call vote.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Counselor Chambers,
Yes.
Counselor Kaufman,
Yes.
Madam President,
Yes.
Counselor Sylvia,
Yes, sir.
Counselor Keating,
Yes.
Mayor Cross.
Yes.
Just for the record, imparities is the plural of imparity, and it means a lack of equality, fairness, or similarity. So I don't know if I used it right, but it is a word.
It's good. It's a word. I needed to know. Thank you.
Gravel coming right up.
All right. We're going to take a 6-minute break until 10 minutes till 8. Call the meeting back to order. We are now on decision item F, RCA resolution adopting strategic reserve fund policy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, Council, in your packet this evening is an updated resolution number 1594. This is related to a policy pertaining to community requests for strategic reserve funds. You may recall this was discussed in December, and there was some discussion amongst council members in terms of the wording in the policy related to unanimity of decisions. And so the city attorney took your feedback from that meeting. She has come forward with the updated draft policy language that's included in the packet as Exhibit A. And I'm happy to invite Savani to provide any comments that she has for your consideration this evening.
Sure. So, so the conversation around this was when we had previously presented it, we included unanimous approval as a consideration or a factor that council is going to take into account when considering these requests. And based on council's discussion, instead of that being a factor, we moved it to its own separate section, section 4, just to state and alert the public that that's a goal of council, but it's not necessarily required. So the specific language is in a red line in a page there at the end, and then we have a clean version that shows the full policy.
Questions, comments, council? All right, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve resolution number 1594, adopting a policy for the city of Toledo pertaining to community requests for strategic reserve.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Moved by Tracy, seconded by Andrew, to approve resolution number 1594, adopting a policy for the city of Toledo pertaining to community requests for strategic reserve funds. Would you take a roll call vote, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Counselor Chambers,
Yes.
Counselor Sylvia,
Yes, sir.
Counselor Kaufman,
Yes.
Counselor Keating,
Yes.
Madam President,
Yes.
Mayor Cross.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Okay. Our next item, item G, request for council action, council rules amendment for 2026.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, council, now before you is Resolution 1596, adoption of which would update your city council rules. So council conducted work sessions on October 22nd and December 17th of 2025 with discussion related to potential amendments to the council rules. Following those discussions, the city attorney has prepared the proposed updates to the rules, which are included in your packet. The proposed updates include accurate references to the city charter as updated by the voters in November of 2024, as well as aligning the rules more closely with the League of Oregon Cities model rules and clarifying the public comment process for council meetings and council's waivers of compensation by council members. Savani, do you have any other comments you'd like to add to the presentation?
Yes, just one. So there's a red line version and then a clean version. The red line shows all of the points that we had discussed and the changes that the council decided in those workshops. There's one change that I did want to mention. So we had proposed the League of Oregon Cities land use hearings process to be included in the council rules. And after reviewing the city's code, Title 19 specifically lays out an appeal process for that. That's actually more specific than the League of Oregon Cities version. So we don't want to create inconsistencies there. So instead of proposing that section, we have an addition that we haven't yet discussed in section 2.8A that just adds a reference to Title 19 of the Toledo Municipal Code and states that staff may propose or amend templates for quasi-judicial land use proceedings with advice and consent of the council. So if we need to develop certain documents to help the council through land use proceedings in the future, we can do that, but it will be consistent with the code. And other than that, I would be happy to answer any additional questions you may have.
Any questions or comments, council?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Just a comment, and it can also be brought up later on council tracker. I personally would like to see council going over these rules every odd year after an election. Because say we get 3 new councilors on here, they don't know the rules.
That's when it's supposed to happen.
And it's been revised 6 times since 1981, and we know as a city we have been well behind the ball, so
yeah.
I would just like that to happen.
So it is supposed to be covered at our goal setting of that odd numbered year, because we will have new people on. That's part of what that is for, is to go over council rules, then we go back, then they present to us any changes we wanted to make. And that's the process. It has normally worked. I'm sorry to say, Frank, you have entered this during an abnormal time. And hopefully we can get back on track.
That was my only comment on this.
Okay,
Thank you.
anyone else? I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve resolution number 1596, adopting updates to the city council rules.
Second.
Been moved by Andrew, seconded by Frank, to approve resolution 1596, adopting updates to the city council rules. Would you take your roll call vote, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilor Chambers,
Yes.
Councilor Kaufman,
Yes.
Madam President,
Yes.
Councilor Sylvia,
Absolutely.
Councilor Keating,
Yes, with great
Mayor Cross.
thanks.
That sounded like a yes to me.
We're all full of it.
It's more than just a yes. It's an about time.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Spawn.
Motion passes 6-0.
All right, our next item, item H. A request for council action, waiver of November and partial January code enforcement fee for the city of Celeste. Rich?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just an update, council, to an action I requested you take in December. At that time, I asked that you waive the fee for Celeste for the month of December, which you did. I was slightly incorrect in the information I had in that initial RCA. I had been thinking that our community services officer, Ron Bush, I was thinking that his leave had started a little bit later in November, which is why I didn't initially recommend waiver for November. I was reminded by Cindy and Shauna that his leave actually started on, I believe it was November 10th. Basically, Ron worked 4 days during the month of November. Generally, he dedicates 1 day a week to Siletz. So at the most, they got one day of coverage in November, and it honestly wasn't worth the time and effort to figure out how much that would be. So my recommendation to council, Ron returned to work on limited duty on January 15th. Very happy to have him back. So my recommendation to council this evening, in addition to the December waiver that you already approved, is, as the mayor introduced, that you agree to waive the fees to the city of Siletz for code enforcement services for the full month of December 2025 and half of the month of January 2026.
November?
November, yes, thank you. November 2025 and half of the month of January 2026. The total there is listed under the fiscal impact that we would be waiving for the city of Siletz. That total is $25.50 on this way.
Okay.
I'm available for any questions.
Council, questions, comments? All right, I'd entertain a motion.
I move to approve the waiver of the November 2025 and half of January 2026 code enforcement fee for the city of Siletz.
I second.
Been moved by Tracy, seconded by Andrew, to approve a waiver of the November 2025 and half of January 2026 code enforcement fee for the city of Siletz. We take a roll call vote.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilor Chambers,
Yes.
Councilor Sylvia,
Yes, sir.
Councilor Kaufman,
Yes.
Councilor Keating,
Yes, indeed.
Council President Mix,
Yes.
Mayor Cross.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
All right, our next item is item I. RCA, approve URD funding agreement with Advertise. Rich?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, council, as you'll recall, you had the Urban Renewal Agency had a meeting at the third week of December where they reviewed and approved a application for funding from Advertise Oregon. That's from the same rehabilitation funding program that the URA approved a separate application earlier this evening. So as we reviewed the application in further detail after that URA meeting, it was pointed out that the city's adopted urban renewal plan does allow for the purchase of equipment as an allowed use of the funds, but it does specify that that equipment needs to be a permanent addition to the business or the building. And what the URA approved from Advertise was a request to purchase a new embroidery machine. That machine is obviously not built in. It could be taken if the business closed or relocated. So I had the opportunity to consult with our city attorney on could we fulfill that application as presented and approved.
Strap it to a wall.
Right. Well, what we determined was that we could set an appropriate period of time at which we could consider that asset to have been a fixed asset. And so with the review and input from the city attorney, I drafted the agreement that you have a copy in your packet of. It has been signed and accepted by Matthew Jarvis on behalf of Advertise. And basically what it does is it spells out that the funds can be used for the purchase of the embroidery machine. However, if Advertise were to either close as a business or relocate outside of the URA, or cease using that machine as part of its regular ongoing business operations within a period of 5 years, that they would need to refund the full award amount to the city. And it was felt by the city attorney that those terms, if accepted by the applicant, could then make the asset considered a fixed asset with 5 years being a reasonable amount of time. So the reason that this agreement now is before the city council is that the city entering into an agreement with an outside agency is a policy decision for council. The URA has fulfilled its function, and now it's up to council to decide if they feel the agreement is reflective in the best interest of the city. So I bring it to you this evening for consideration.
Questions, comments? Frank?
That answered my first question, was why we're making the decision and not URA.
Yep.
Now, here's another second, possibly confusing question
Sure.
pertaining to what was decided earlier. So that has to stay in that business for 5 years. What
Correct.
about the lien put on the building? Is he still able to come back for another forgivable loan after that 2-year period is up, or is that 5 years going to hold him back?
So the lien is a question at the moment because Matthew is a tenant. He does not own the space, and so for the city to be able to place a lien on the business would require the approval of the owner. But either way, whether we are able to place a lien or not, it would really be it would really be the way the program is structured. It would be the duration of the lien itself or the completion of the project. And in this case, the project is the purchase and use of the machine. So it would be the 5-year period for him.
So he hasn't learned how to use it yet? If he's watching, it'll be okay.
That
I
makes
know.
sense.
Oh, yeah. Trust me, that's what the face palm was for,
Get that
because I could
figured
see
out.
Matt doing the face palm at home.
It's a second one. That's right.
So yes, that would make that would make Advertise's window of eligibility 5 years.
Yes, correct.
Sounds good.
Any other questions, council? All right, I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve and authorize the city manager to execute an urban renewal district rehabilitation program funding agreement with Advertise Oregon Incorporated.
Second.
Been moved by Frank, seconded by Jackie to approve and authorize the city manager to execute an urban renewal district rehabilitation program funding agreement with Advertise Oregon, Inc. You may take a roll call vote.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilor Chambers,
Yes.
Councilor Keating,
Yes.
Madam President Mick,
Yes.
Councilor Coughlin,
Yes.
Councilor Sylvia,
Yes, sir.
Mayor Cross.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
All right. All right, our last item in this section, item J, request for council action to cancel the GP untreated water contract. Rich?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council, on May 7th, 2025, in a regular meeting, you approved an untreated water services agreement with Georgia Pacific LLC, Georgia Pacific Toledo LLC. That agreement contemplated the sale of untreated raw water by the city to GP at a rate of $6 per 1,000 gallons at a quantity not to exceed 1.25 million gallons average per day.
It looks like we don't have an RCA for
That's
this.
the wrong one on the printout. I caught Paul after you guys already started printing, and I told him the wrong thing's on the wrong thing.
The wrong thing,
yeah,
something like that.
it's right on line.
It's everything.
+1.
It's right on mine if you want to look at it.
So we want
Okay.
the version 1, not the
So
version.
thank you for catching that, Council. Your city manager did an oopsie and clicked save rather than save as after using the same template.
So if I want to read it, I can just pull it up.
It's online. Yep. And I'll let you know in a moment at the conclusion of my report the recommended motion. Because we did try to print out hard copies for you, but the printer's out of toner. So of course, right? So thank you for catching that. So the agreement, as I mentioned, contemplated the sale of water to GP, and it was really on an as needed basis if they were to not be able to pump enough water under their own pumping rights. The agreement included a provision expressly reserving to the city the right at the city's sole discretion for any reason or without specifying a reason to discontinue the ability to provide that water if the needs of the municipal water system so required. At a couple of times since that agreement was executed, GP did come to the city and request to be able to purchase water. However, the municipal water system, when those requests were received, we were not able to fulfill them because of the needs of the system. For example, one of those requests was received during curtailment, and we did not feel that we had the capacity to provide their needs and the city's needs during that period. So using that as an example. So they did ask a couple of times, and we were not able to fulfill because of the needs of our municipal system. So having some discussions with staff from GP, they don't anticipate needing any more water between now and the end of the initial term of the agreement. So we felt it was the most straightforward to exercise the right under the agreement to cancel by any party. That would effectively remove any potential for financial obligation between either party. I've also been in discussions with staff from GP about how the
He's scrolling.
Oh, page 244, if that's helpful, Counselor. So I've been in some discussions with staff from GP because they would like to enter into another such agreement next year. However, there's some issues with how we would be able to go about fulfilling those requests. So, Council, many of you may or may not be aware, but very quickly, we utilize Mill Creek as our water source during the winter months and the Siletz River during spring and summer. The reason that we move away from Mill Creek during the hot months of the year is the swampy time. Exactly. The water is slow moving. It becomes warm. It develops algae and other swamp related issues. And so it's not of a quality that we can use for potable water. It's also not of a quality that GP can utilize for their needs. Our water line from the Siletz River into the city it's a one or the other situation. We're either pumping to the water treatment plant or we're pumping into the Olalla Reservoir. We can't, with our current structure and infrastructure, we can't pump to both at one time. So we're going to set up a meeting with GP to really look at how we might be able to fulfill their needs while also fulfilling the city's needs. Because during the standard work shift, we pump the amount of water that is needed by the city to meet the requirements of our residents. So as I mentioned, we're canceling the contract this year and really going into the negotiation of a new contract that would start with the new budget year, hoping to find a structure that would fit both sides. GP has indicated that they are interested in working with us to find a creative solution and be a good partner. So I'm looking forward to those discussions, and I hope to be able to bring a new contract for council in the future. So I know Councilor Keating did find the RCA, but for those of you that don't have it in front of you, the recommended motion this evening is to approve the cancellation of the untreated water services agreement with Georgia Pacific Toledo LLC and authorize the city manager to execute the cancellation through written notice.
I'm not gonna remember.
We cancel every year.
No. It's first
No,
year.
great question, Councilor Sylvia. So the contract in place has a 1-year term that has an automatic rolling renewal. So one of the reasons, as I mentioned a moment ago, that we're doing an actual cancellation this year is not only to confirm that there are no financial responsibility by either party this year, but also that's why I gave the background on the issues of actually being able to provide the water. So we want to negotiate, hopefully are able to negotiate a contract that has a structure under which we would be able to provide. So we don't, not only do we want to verify that there's no financial responsibility by either party, but we don't want the terms of this contract to auto-renew.
Any questions?
But just quickly, just share my perspective, which is, I mean, I think anything that we can do to achieve terms with them for selling water is good for the city. It's good for our water ratepayers.
It's good for them too.
My comfort level for that includes potentially, I mean, if the deal's structured in a way that provides some predictable revenue, I think even if we have some capital expense that's associated with that, I would be open to something like that. Again, from my perspective, I think it's worth it over the long term, even if we need to invest in capital upgrades, reasonable capital upgrades, to lock into a good deal with them.
And just as an example of that, Councilor Chambers, one of the issues of our current system, as I mentioned, it's one or the other. The system's also 70 years old, Brian, about?
We'll call it old.
Well, sure. And so one of the concerns there is the concern there is not just having to have somebody drive up to the reservoir and turn the valve, but also the more times you turn a 70-year-old valve, the more concern potential for water hammer, for damage to the system. So when you mentioned that there may be a capital improvement that improves this process in the future, that's definitely something that's on the table. And very, very preliminarily, GP has indicated that they would be open to looking at being a partner on that. So appreciate you bringing that up.
Any other comments from council? We do have someone who would like to make a comment online. I'd like to remind them you are limited to 3 minutes. Go ahead, Cindy.
You just have to unmute.
You need to unmute.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes,
we can.
Okay. I am really concerned about you guys going into any negotiations at this point with the concerns of our water sources as it stands now. We need to get true measurements off of that Olalla Lake that's feeding into the creek so that we can measure the water feed into the mill. We still don't have an accurate accounting as to what they're pushing through that creek and into the mill as it is. So we need to step it up and do the due diligence that it takes to make sure everybody's complying with the law. And then we can negotiate maybe new water deals, but first we better make sure everybody's complying. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions, comments, council?
No.
All right, I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve cancellation of untreated water sales agreement with Georgia Pacific Toledo LLC. Is there more I had to add?
Yes.
And authorize the city manager to execute the cancellation through written notice.
And authorize the city manager to
Execute the cancellation
execute the cancellation
through written notice.
through written notice.
So help you God.
Thank you for the help.
Give that to Jackie?
Do you want to get that?
Thank you all.
Yeah, thanks. All right, it's been moved by Tracy, seconded by Jackie to approve the cancellation of the untreated water services agreement with Georgia Pacific Toledo LLC and authorize the city manager to execute the cancellation through written notice. Would you please take the roll call vote?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilor Chambers?
Yes.
Councilor Keating?
Yes.
Councilor Sylvia?
Yes, sir.
Councilor Coughlin?
Yes.
Councilor Hanks?
Yes.
Mayor Cross?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
That brings us to reports and comments. We'll start with Public Works. Is there anything you want to add to your written report?
We had one water line break that came to our attention at the base of the high school entrance, and we mitigated that this morning.
In the same place that it broke last year? Good golly.
So you're going to figure it's going to be an annual thing?
More recently, it's a smaller PVC line, but
Okay.
my
But
crew
same place?
got repaired.
Okay. All right. Any questions?
I heard something while I was at the post office the other day about some line painting work that had been left undone or incomplete. A road line painting or something that was not completed or had been.
That's been addressed already, but yeah, remind us.
Is that are you talking in relation to Highway 20? Counselor?
Business Highway 20?
Yeah,
Business 20.
I'm not off the top of my head. I'm not recollecting any specific details about it.
So if it's the one you're referencing that got left out, it'll be Business Highway 20, and it'll be mitigated. We found a contractor. We were ghosted by SPM, which is Hicks Striping was purchased by SPM, who had a contractual agreement to do the entire city. We let them know that portion was getting repaved and said, hey, hold off on doing that portion until it's repaved, please. They said, not a problem. Okay, the portion's redone. Can you show up and please do this like you said you would?
Yep.
Ghosted.
Okay.
So we have a contractor lined up that hopefully before the spring, when we get a window of opportunity with some dry and warmer weather, so the paint can set up, they will come in and finish the job.
Awesome. Yeah, I just wanted to check on it only because the postmaster had indicated to me that one of our mail carriers had nearly gotten into an accident related to that.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to circle back on that. Okay, cool. Thank you.
And as a resident of Newport who drives that road every evening on his way home, I definitely share the concern. And yeah, as Brian mentioned, unfortunately, an unfortunate experience with a contractor, but he's been working diligently to identify a qualified replacement.
Promised I'd at least ask about it.
Absolutely. Believe me, if it's that easy, it'll be done.
Yeah, I'm kidding.
Just a quick, on the same note, just the turn lane onto Lincoln, what used to be the turn lane onto Lincoln, is really hairy in the dark. And so if there's some reflective stickers or something, just to try to define what that is.
Like Curious Opportunity, we'll update those toms and that turn arrow.
Nice.
That was free-handed, by the way, in a
Nicely
matter
done.
of like 5 minutes when it came down to it. I'm not gonna say who did it, but it stayed pretty good for what it was.
The nice thing about it is when I'm driving and, not noticing where lines should be, my kids can't scream at me for crossing the lines when there aren't any.
Good point.
Yes, see? You gotta see the silver lining.
The line should be as people
The
drive.
part I'm enjoying is being behind somebody when they see the state patrol car.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
That is,
I love it.
yes.
I can tell you that your city manager was one of those people you were probably. First couple of months he was on the job. Yeah. I'm used to it now, but oh man.
All right, is Justin from planning online tonight?
Justin, I don't believe is online tonight. He was out on vacation this week, so
I just gonna ask if he was.
appreciate it. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's what it was.
Map.
you need it?
Yes. I'm good. Keep going.
Oh, just I need the map, so, and we're on planning, so
I
it
love
fits.
maps. Why maps?
All right, so now we're on library staff report.
Yes, I've got the December stats on here. We've got some programs coming up. An adult craft wool felting, January 24th. Sophia's rolling out STEAM Saturday. That's the acronym, not literal STEAM this time.
Right.
But we're doing terrariums January 31st at 1 p.m. And there's a paint and sip January 31st at 3. One thing that's not on here is Sophia's also rolling out a Spice Club, the first meeting of which will be February 1st, and she already has the Spice of the Month we ordered.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the Spice Girls and we were gonna go back in time.
I've been leaning on her to make a bunch of Dune references in her Spice Club, but
I wouldn't get those. And I don't get Spice Girls either. That's odd.
well, we've
I'll
got
talk to you after the meeting.
We've got several Dune adaptations and all the Dune books. And I don't think we have any Spice Girls. And the shelves on our north wall have been braced and stabilized thanks to Public Works.
Well done, guys.
Body weight tested. We're looking at getting all of, so I hear.
So
It's going off the rails fast.
what does the Dewey Decimal System equate to a body on your shelf?
A body on a shelf.
Yeah.
You figure 200 pounds.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
I don't know. It's in the fiction section, so I don't. So yeah, we're working on bracing all of our wall shelves. It's been a while, and we want to get them secured. And that wall is taken care of. I think that's it. Other than what you got.
So I'm going to pass along a couple of comments I've had from people in the community. You guys are not just doing an outstanding job, but you are hitting niches that people want to see. So I'll go all the way back into December. The niche that I was a part of, people loved it. Okay. Doing what you guys are doing, you're drawing the community back into being community. And that is, I can't tip my hat enough to you, because that's where the comments lead to. Are you meeting new people in the community? Yeah, I never knew so-and-so liked this same stuff. And so we're building bonds again, and you're doing a great job, you and your whole staff, and just let them know that people notice.
Thank you. We definitely want to do everything we can as a third place for people. And we've been trying to reach out to new audiences. We're really pushing for more marketing outreach to Eddyville. That's been going really well. We're doing that a couple times a month at the post office. And we're working on solidifying that more too, maybe with securing our own vehicle moving forward, but we're feeling that out. And yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, thank you, and keep up the good work.
Yes.
Thank you.
There aren't a ton of places that have that sort of building a sense of place in our community. I think, one of the things that we were talking about earlier is wanting to help Main Street be that again. But in the interim, the library has done, I think, a really nice job to Rod's point of becoming a gathering place, becoming something that is offering more than typical library services. Libraries offer to create that sense of belonging for the people who live here, and a welcoming place for people who want to visit and learn more about our community from a different lens. So yeah, it's just, I love seeing the video game stuff. I love seeing the resources fair that you guys did a few months back. I think you guys are just doing some really cool stuff.
Thank you. We want it to be outside of the library too. And unless we're doing programming to explicitly connect people, we're in that kind of painful position of knowing what everybody is interested in. But when it's patron information, we can't just go telling somebody, hey, that guy really likes that thing too. And so I'm watching potential bands come through because somebody's learning to play the drums, somebody's learning to play bass, somebody's learning to play guitar, and it's all the same genre, and they probably think they're the only person in town who likes that kind of music. I can't divulge patron data, so we gotta find a way to, gotta find those.
An event where they'll
ways
all
to-
come together.
Exactly. Yeah.
Perfect. Keep it up, Harrison.
Thank you.
All right. Finance Department report. Judy, is there anything you want to add to the wonderful second quarter financials?
No, I'd be glad to answer any questions anybody has, but I think it's pretty much all there in front of you.
I hate to say it, Judy, but yet again, I understood it. You're doing a great job.
Thank you.
The deputy fire chief has proposed that we remove the interim tag from Judy's title. Judy's less enthused about that suggestion.
I've known Judy long enough to know that using the words less enthused is an understatement.
But she's smiling. I mean, she's got to be a part for this.
Awake with us.
I know.
I know.
I mean, she says she doesn't love me, but I think she does.
Any questions for Judy on the financial report?
Judy, I did notice that, we're halfway through the year. Ideally, it would be nice if we were well under 50% of our budget, but we're over it. Is that because we have some expenses that get paid up front? Are we still safe? Or is it?
I'm not really alarmed about where we are. You're right. There's some expenses that we pay once at the beginning of the year. That would be insurance, basically. Our general liability and property insurance, and our workers' comp premium is all paid at the beginning of the year. And so those two categories, if they're tighter, a little bit over, probably aren't going to get any worse. And we still have some categories that we're under on. So I'm not crazy about the financial status we're in. Like you, I would rather have us be under on everything a lot. But I'm not alarmed. I think we're in good shape.
Thank you, Judy.
Generally.
And honest.
Okay. That is what I have always loved about her. Is that she can deliver the news honestly.
Absolutely. Agreed.
All right, next item is the Human Resource Director, Shauna. Anything you want to add to your report?
I'm not going to add, I'm just going to emphasize. We're putting a lot of energy into our employee and volunteer appreciation this Friday at Mugley's from 6 to 8. You've all received invitations. I've received RSVPs from some of you. Please come. And we'll have your illustrious city manager will do a presentation. We've got some nice swag. We've got some fun things planned. We've got some nice acknowledgement, 10-year acknowledgement awards, not 10-year, but 10-year.
Now, will there be daycare provided for adult children?
Adult children, no.
I won't be there. I'll be yelling at Pullman High School.
Yeah, I know.
There are plenty of, as you know, activities to occupy.
I'm joking.
I'm RSVPing,
Awesome. For how many?
just me.
Okay. Anyway,
Well, and if Tim is there, Tim, but you might have to be there in a different capacity.
thank you.
I asked this question of Justin, and he didn't know the answer at the time. And you probably answered this for him, but is the planning commission invited, those volunteers invited?
Yes.
Yes.
That was authorized by Rich. The question was asked, authorized by Rich, and yes, they have been invited.
Okay.
I consider our boards and commission members to be as valued volunteers just as
I thought
we-
so too, but I didn't want to assume, and I
Oh,
just.
great.
Thank you.
Great
No,
question.
it's a good question. Tracy.
I was actually going to ask if the question about babysitting for adult children included Commissioner Mix, so,
I guess she's turned on.
No, he's not a child.
For any other reason, good grief.
Any questions from the council or mayor?
Just keep doing what you're doing.
I shall. Thank you.
thank you.
All right, our next item is the Toledo Police Department monthly report. You'll see we have one for December 2025, stats for December 2025. Police Department report recap for 2025, and the Toledo Police Department 2025 year report, March to December. Chief, you want to add anything to all of that?
No, not this time. We did hire a new employee, or hopefully the last officer that we have. So that'll be good, and he'll start on February 2nd, and I'll provide more information on the next month's report. And I'll also give you guys more stats as I'm able to. We had 2 programs that we were using in 2025, so I'm still combining the information, and I'll make sure that that information is available to you when that's done.
I just want to take the opportunity to not only welcome Chief back to the office, but recognize Sergeant Pitcher, who filled in for a mid-month to mid-month period, but a month timeline as our acting chief, while Chief Pace was on a well-deserved and needed leave. And just want to, like I said, I want to publicly welcome him back and also recognize Aaron for helping keep the police department operating smoothly in that time.
Any other questions or comments for Chief Pace? I just have one comment, Chief. And no, this is not because my son works down there, because I always specifically ask about that when people talk to me. The people of this community greatly appreciate the work you guys are doing, especially in light of how things are going in other communities. And I wanted to give you a tip of the hat and an attaboy, because it's hard times right now in policing around the country, and you guys are building bonds in this community that are going to be invaluable going forward. And I just want to thank you for that.
Appreciate that. And as you'll see, the figures I'll be providing, we do a lot of traffic stops. We don't cite a lot of people, and that's been our tradition as it is. We're out there trying to make connections with people, talking to people, and building that long-term trust. It has been very difficult for other police agencies throughout our country at this time, and I appreciate you recognizing that in your words. Thank you.
I want to remind people online that this is not a time for public comment. We are receiving reports from staff. Our next item is the Toledo Fire Department Council report, and I don't
did not
know.
go unnoticed.
I have to ask.
Who do I owe that to?
Is that a precursor?
Oh, that was part of my report, sorry.
We keep a handful of fired employees. They have their own department.
Okay, that might have been funny 3 years ago.
Mayor, was that the additional letter you were commenting to this morning? Okay. I caught another one, but
There was definitely a Freudian slip in the drafting of the agenda. No, there is absolutely no messaging of any kind behind that, I can assure you.
I believe a visit to Human Resources would be appropriate.
So, Chief, is there anything you'd like to add to your wonderful report beyond that?
I'll deal with the personnel issues later. Much like Chief Pace, we were working off of 2 different data systems through 2025. So now we're into our one system. And then we're hoping within the next couple of weeks, we'll actually have CAD integration where the 911 calls automatically import to our data system. They're doing a really good job of manually entering even down to the second, but it'll just streamline that process. And our reports will be cleaner. I think you have the basic call stats, and that's about all I have, I think.
Thank you.
Any questions for Chief Lapaw?
I'm so glad that you have such a good sense of humor. You know, some places might be offended by that.
Oh, no. When I fall off logs into the water, I digress. There's a story. I used to work in a lot with tugs and logs, and my second day I fell off the log into the water and got up, and everybody got very quiet on the 2 tugboats that were working with us. And I was like, what's the matter? Oh, the last guy got so upset. He screamed, he threw stuff. I went, no, just tip me upside down so we can drain the water out of my boots, if you would. There's a lot of things to get upset about.
That's not, yeah.
A typo, I hope that it is not enough to get upset.
I really appreciate the way you finished that, Chief. I was going to say I greatly appreciate the chief's temperament and humor as well, but I also know he's not going to let me live that one down. As he shouldn't, because if the roles were reversed.
I am pretty sure that
That was fried, didn't you?
No, absolutely. Absolutely.
And I just wanted to, not a question so much as a comment, but I wanted to commend Chief Lapoff. I had the opportunity to witness as Chief Lapoff was representing both Toledo and Silet's fire districts in some advocacy work related to emergency response, and particularly things like natural disasters like the landslide from a couple weeks ago, and I just wanted to commend him for that representation, and not really get into the details of it, but at least just kind of say that I really appreciated seeing Chief Lapoff in that capacity, and how well he articulated some of those very real concerns for our community.
Thank you. Right. Manager report.
It's not even December.
Long day.
Ouch. You know, it's really funny because I was drinking tea earlier, so, you know, I'll do the, Council, in recognition of the fact that we've been together for almost 3 hours so far, just a couple of quick items for council this evening. I would like to reiterate, as Shauna mentioned, please, if your schedules allow, join us on Friday evening. I asked the city recorder to put out a notice of potential quorum tomorrow. So RSVPs would be greatly appreciated so we have an idea of food to order, but please do join us. We'll be recognizing employee years of service and accomplishment, and there'll be some gift bags and food provided, as well as we've reserved 10 lanes of the bowling alley. So fun for all, and invite you to share in that with us on Friday evening. And then, did you have a question on the event, Jackie, or were you stretching?
I would like to attend.
There you go. Thank you.
You're in.
I'll confirm tomorrow for you.
Sounds great. Thank you. The only other item I wanted to share with the council as a whole is you had your special meeting last week to discuss the water line upsizing project on Southeast Sturdivant Road. Had an opportunity to have a good conversation with the contractor the next morning. Shared with him a high-level recap of the discussion that you all had, the concerns that you had around the pricing as it was presented, and let him know the dollar amount that you all had authorized. He then came back with a recommendation, which I went forward with, feeling it was the best interest of him and the city. What he proposed was that we execute a change order that did not end up going into the time and materials process, but that we agreed to a flat rate for the work of the $115,000 that you as council authorized. What really felt like the right way to go on that was even if the overall price for that work would have come in a little bit under that dollar amount, as we mentioned, there would have been increased project management fees, as our contractor would be on site tracking the specific timeframes that was put into that work. That additional project management will not be required by doing it as a flat rate. So we felt like it was most likely gonna be very close to, if not a wash, in terms of costs spent here versus here. It also helped maintain, I think, a good relationship with the contractor. He understood the concerns that you all expressed. He offered that as a midpoint between some of the scenarios that was discussed, and we ended the phone call with an agreement that both sides have enjoyed working with the other, and that they plan to continue to bid on future projects in Toledo. So really felt like it was a positive outcome all around, and just wanted to share with you all how that went the next day. So they've got back to work, and the project is ongoing. That concludes my report for the evening. I am available for any questions. Brian?
Back company, Frank. Who is the person that's performing usually wears a red hat, the red hard hat? That idiot was standing, I'm gonna say that nicely, that idiot was standing between a excavator and a dump truck while they were hauling loads over the top of his head of asphalt.
Red hard hat.
Wearing a hard hat?
Red hard hat,
Well, it's
it wouldn't matter. Then he walked out in the middle of the road when they found out that car's going, texting on his phone, and I about ran his ass over. They need to be paying more attention.
I will try to figure out who the idiot in question is and make sure those types of things don't happen.
I mean, that's an OSHA fine waiting to happen, because you do not stand underneath the bucket of anything.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for bringing that up, Counselor. We'll be in contact.
I know, colorful as it was.
So eloquently.
Any other questions for city manager?
Just about the issue tracker. Why is it blank? We had a whole bunch of stuff on there, now it's blank.
And we haven't lost track of that. I can assure you, we've started a new one for 2026. We still have the 2025 one, but there's the issue tracker and then there's the agenda item tracker, Council President. So the issue tracker is blank. That is because we've started a new one for 2026, but we have retained the items that council provided us.
Are you gonna carry them over into this new one eventually?
We will.
Okay.
I think that we were planning, perhaps when we were doing the retreat, that the idea was to kind of revisit.
Yeah,
where
all of
everything
those
was.
issues.
Yeah.
And see.
Correct.
I just saw a blank sheet and I'm like,
Nope. And I just remembered one quick thing as we're talking about future items. Still on the future agenda item tracker, at the back of your packet, it does still list for next meeting Art Toledo. I have been informed that date does not work for Kim Bush, so I will be in touch with her to reschedule that.
Perfect.
I don't think we want to wait until a month to have Kim in, so I'm going to try to get some time where we can just have it as a discussion item during one of your regular meetings.
Perfect.
So hoping to have her early in February.
And I suggest also including Paul Skytema from Skydema. I should know that, right?
Skydema?
Because it's, my wife's boss, but I do know, because I was going to ask about this as well, because I know that Stacy and Paul had both blocked off our meeting on the 28th on their calendars if we were talking about Art Toledo, because obviously EDALC plays a significant role in our Art Oysters and Brews event. They carried a lot of the water on that one for us last year. So they have a vested interest in where Art Toledo goes. And I think they do a lot with the board of Art Toledo as well. So
Sarah's
I know,
a part of that board.
yeah. And I know basically the whole staff has shown up to a lot of our meetings too, so.
Thank you for adding that, Counselor. I'll coordinate with both Kim and Paul and try to find a Wednesday evening that works for both of them. Like I said a minute ago, hopefully early February. Don't want to wait until the end of the month if we can avoid it.
All right.
Thank you.
Council comments. I will start with Councilor Keating tonight.
My one thing is something that we've heard in snippets for, I think, a couple of years now. At least I've heard for a couple of years. I want to kind of formally request some information from staff on this. Southeast 7th Place, the unpaved road that is regularly mentioned by Nathan and Kimber Keel about, my understanding of it is that the residents of the 800 to 1000 block there are all within city limits. The properties that they all own are City of Toledo. That dirt road is not. That the road itself is still owned or managed, not managed, but managed by the county, which is one of the reasons why the road has not been maintained as they claim in decades. I don't know a lot of the details, but here's what I ultimately would like to ask. I'd like for staff to provide to council at an upcoming meeting, even if it's just coming in the form of part of the staff reports that we receive, the status of that particular road there. So this is the 800 to 1000 of Southeast 7th Place. What is the kind of what is the status of that road? And if there's anything that the city could potentially do to address the fact that there are tax-paying residents of Toledo who are seeing their road kind of deteriorate and feeling like the safety of being able to get up and down that pretty steep road as it is getting worse and worse over the years. Is there anything that the city can do about that?
I can answer that right now if you'd like.
I would love that, yeah.
Okay. Lincoln County Property Management is not a city entity.
Okay.
Private property, we don't do work on city property.
Okay.
Private property, excuse me.
So
It's out of our jurisdiction.
to kind of extrapolate on what Brian was saying there, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I have this correct. The north side of that stretch of road is all halfway into the street. So the north side of the street, the property owners themselves, their property line extends to halfway. So they own on the north side of that stretch of road. It's actually a privately owned road. And then the south end is Lincoln County Property Management. It is county owned.
And then also comes down to the bottom, which is completely private.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, to your question, Counselor, is there anything the city can do? Based on what we just described, it is not our road to maintain. If council wants to, consider, discuss, do we want to seek to take it over, then we not only would need to either initiate the eminent domain process or negotiate agreements with each of the private parties as well as the county, then we would need to budget for bringing that road up to the specs of a city street. So that's the short answer.
Yeah, and so what I heard from the Keels was that there has been a history of the county trying or offering at least the county portion of that road to the city in the past, but the city has not.
Sorry.
I don't know.
I know.
I genuinely don't know.
I will
but
tell you why I laughed in a moment.
But I do want to emphasize that one of the things that the reason why I want to have something kind of clearly stated in a meaningful way is I feel like, one, this seeped into a budget committee meeting this past year. It's shown up in public comments frequently.
All the time.
It's almost impossible for a week to go by where the city is posting something on Facebook that, Nathan isn't like, well, what about my road? Who's going to pave my road? When's this going to happen? And so while I appreciate, that there's a lot of complexity to this, I do think that there's some value, I'll say, as somebody who drives a not too great in-service since 1987 postal vehicle on that road. I do not like driving on that road ever in good conditions. It's horrible.
The one thing I'll add really quick, and granted my tenure here is still relatively new, and I'm going to ride that train as long as I can.
And
but
let me just finish.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
The thing is just to say that I do think that it is incumbent on the city to be thinking about the safety of its residents. And so that's the priority I want to put on it, is that as somebody who's now driven on that road as much as I have, and I've heard those concerns as much as I have, for all of the complexities, for all of the problems that go into why it hasn't been done, I do want to recognize that the people who live down that road are Toledo City residents, and they feel concerned about their safety on that road, regardless of who owns what.
Absolutely. So if I can really quick, Mr. Mayor, and I will probably touch on at least part of what you wanted to say. I want to say really quick, I totally agree with Councilor Keating. I also recognize for the residents of that stretch of road that the answer, we can't do it, is not always a well-received. It is the fact that as long as the city doesn't own the road, we can't go in and do improvements. I would be open to, if at council's direction, seeking to acquire it. But I think the reason that the mayor probably laughed a minute ago, at least part of it, is we often get inquiries from members of the public about property that the county owns. The A-frame former gas station as one, this stretch of road in Toledo. And while it may have been the case in the past that the county may have offered it up at different times, what I've heard from my staff at different times, from the mayor, is that, for example, I use the A-frame again as an example. The county has not been receptive in recent time to inquiries about acquiring land that they own in the city. So I'm more than willing to reach out to property management and see where they're at this time. But recent times that my staff has been involved in, that has not been a receptive conversation.
Try to add something to their agenda. Yeah.
What's that? That took me just a second. I'm backing out of this one.
And so And so I'll clarify what I'm ultimately, I guess what I'm asking for, and it's not action.
Sure.
It's information.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So what I'm asking for is kind of a clearly written sort of summary of the status of the road, right?
Absolutely.
What is causing the challenge that we are getting these complaints from people in our community? And then what options might exist for the city to pursue?
Sure.
Right? Because that gives us at least a sense of, is this feasible? Is this not?
Right.
You know, and maybe that's something that is coming, you know, partially from Public Works, partially from our city manager, partially from our city attorney, exploring what those options might be. But I think, you know,
Definitely a team effort there.
I do think at a certain point, we have to have a response that feels substantial. And I don't know that the people who have been bringing this up as much as they have feel like they've gotten a substantial response. And so I think that's what I ultimately want to try to bring.
And Andrew, I don't disagree with you.
And I'd like to follow with that, just, and not say my defense, but the individual that you're speaking of that's reached out, he doesn't like my answer.
I was just gonna
It's being as
say,
thorough as possible. We don't own the property. It's private property. On top of a sliver of it is Lincoln County Property Management. The thoroughness of the roadway is not one entity. It's the multiple property owners and then the sliver.
it's not just one
Yeah.
that doesn't like the answers.
Yeah.
All that have asked don't like the answers.
Well, I guess the answer is private.
And they
property
keep
owners
asking
approve their
because they
section.
don't like the answers.
And
Okay, Rod, go for it.
can I finally? Okay.
No. Okay, yes, please.
I yield my comment time to.
It's my
So-
time too.
He'll say it a lot nicer.
Okay, so just the last 7.5 years of history with that section.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna mention that we asked about that piece of property back in the 2000s. Okay? The county has essentially, in their property management side, has essentially refused to give any of these orphan sections of roads to the city. I do not understand why. I don't understand why the A-frame they won't give to the city when that place has sat vacant for close to 30 years. It's nothing but an eyesore, and it will stay one as long as they just decide to hang on to it. In this particular case, on the 7th Street side, 7 years ago, I had a get-together with all the property owners in that section, okay? And one of the options given to them was, if we can get that hunk of road from the county, we can give it to you and you guys can do an LID, okay? They thought about that. They didn't like it because they figured out what that would cost, okay? Because the LID would go with the properties even after they sell it, okay? So I said, well, the other thing you can do is we get the sliver from the county and then you guys deed to the city the sections that are in the road. They did not like that option either. But those are the only things, at least at that time, I was aware of that we could do. Because if it's not our titled road, then we can't. We just can't. Now, I'm still irritated with the county over, I'll just give you one example. Wagon Road.
That's the one I was thinking of.
Wagon Road is a checkerboard of private private property owners who own part of it. We have part of it, and the county has part of it. If you wonder why that road looks like crap, it's because nobody takes care of it the same way the next guy does. But they will not give us those sections of road. Now, I know that I'm just a small town mayor, and the part that irritates me is that in that commissioner's office, I have only had one person ever take these concerns seriously, and she's no longer there. I hope that as the county gets its proverbial house moving in the right direction, that they will actively consider doing the right thing by Toledo residents, giving us those sections so that we can improve the lives of the city of Toledo residents.
But hold up. We still can't, because our city cannot pave somebody's private property. We would only be able to do a strip.
No, but here's the thing, if we show, I believe that if we show due diligence and we get those sections, okay, like Wagon Road, okay, there's only one section of it that's private, it's the one section that's nicely paved. I believe we can show people that we can do this, and then we can get those sections at private property owners. Because right now, all it is a cost to them to maintain them.
Yeah.
So if we can put them in the city inventory, they become a shared cost for everyone.
Well, is it possible
And
for
it's-
them
and it's
to
a done.
subdivide it off? Because some of our lots have provisions that say you can't divide them because they're so small, they
that's-
might run into that
But
too.
that's why but that isn't the case in these sections that I know of.
Okay.
Jackie?
My question is, a few years ago, and I don't know how many, we went through the process of getting roads from.
Yes, we did.
And Seventh was on the list and was refused.
We refused it?
No, the county would
No,
not
that's
give
right.
it up.
So let me sort of amend the information request, and say, I would like a sort of, an inventory list of those roads like Wagon, like Seventh Place. I want to look at this as us actually taking some steps to understand what the challenge is in a way that we are able to provide clearly to our community that's asking for it. So this is, again, more about asking staff to provide a report of
Orphan roads.
Of orphan roads that are within city limits, that we can then figure out what the next steps are.
We'll get on.
Isn't Andy Lane one of those?
Yeah, part of
Andy's
it is.
private.
That's what I mean, it's
Yeah.
one of
Yeah.
those roads that they want us to fix it, but
That has not come to the.
it hasn't for a while.
For some time, no.
It hasn't for a while.
Well, there's a section of Seventh Street.
Well, my suggestion, I think it was a couple weeks ago, I was talking to Brian, and I know we're trying to cut down on staff work for the council, but my suggestion was to take a map of Toledo and color code the streets. So, blue is county, red could be city, private, that way, and we put it on our website, so
There is a map
Nathan
like that
Keel could
somewhere.
get on and look up his address and see what color code it is. And that would give the answer, so they don't have to bombard City Hall with all these questions.
Justin might have that map.
I'm also just kind of genuinely interested in, I know that this is probably a capacity thing more than anything, but I know that a lot of the data that goes into GPS systems starts at the city level, goes up to the county level, and goes up to the state level, et cetera. And so, and this is the third time I'm bringing up postal service related stuff, but recognizing, for instance, that we have roads that don't exist anymore that are still mapped as though they're roads. We've got roads that exist now that didn't exist previously. And so that means that a lot of, our service providers, I think about the Postal Service, FedEx, folks like that, they are sent down roads that don't exist. They are often able to find, properties that they're looking for. I'm just curious about, maybe it's just that we're not as up to date as we would like to be. Is that something that that the city provides that information for those? I forget what the acronym stands for, but GIS systems. I know the S probably stands for system, but G probably stands for global information system.
Geographic
Information system. Yeah. Okay. Is that data that's coming from the city? And I'm curious to know whether or not that's something that the city has updated, or when the last time that has been updated for the city.
So I would have Justin, when he gets back from vacation, have him, because I want to say the state put in a grant system for smaller communities to do that very thing. And have him look and see if that grant program is still working.
Okay.
Because that would answer our questions, and it would allow us to get the whole city up to date that way.
Somewhat selfishly, as we know, my house is not actually on Spruce Street. There is no Spruce Street there. Anyway, and now I am done with Andrew Keating's council comments.
All right.
Thank you, Councilor. Run credits.
Councilor Kaufman.
Nothing here.
Frank?
I got nothing. Have a good night.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna point something out to everyone when I get done.
You're forgiving someone.
What?
You're forgiving someone.
Your president.
Oh, my God, how could I forget Madam Presidente?
Okay.
There will be a lashing after the meeting, I think.
You know, won't be anything new.
Much I can talk.
Okay.
Okay, anyway, forget God. It's been a long night. I went to the planning commission meeting last Wednesday, which I often do, to sub for my husband. We played a nice little prank on him. And there are photos, I will not be sharing them. And anyway.
Public record?
There's a recording.
There's a recording.
There's a recording.
Is it video? Do you have me on video? Oh gosh, you guys must have had a good laugh. Anyway, so just to remind us all, the next planning commission meeting is a joint meeting with the city council where we're gonna get to, have a joint session and go over some of the things they've been working very hard on for us. Mainly our parks plan and then our traffic calming measures. They did a lot of work on that recently and getting that to conform to state law and getting our codes up to date. So planning department's been working really hard on that. So I'm really looking forward to that meeting and I hope you guys are too. And then last night I attended the Port of Toledo meeting. That was actually a lot of fun. They're almost as fun as we are. But we have better snacks. So one of the things that I wanted to mention is they are looking for welders. So if anybody knows of somebody who is a welder, a good welder, looking for a job, send them their way because, they have great benefits and everything. And they're doing good things there. They're forward looking, they're morphing with the times, when they lose this, the fishing's going down where they might be struggling a little there, they pick up other work elsewhere so they're representing our community really well. And I will be continuing to go to their meetings. I think really that's the only thing that I'll share here. I think a lot of the other stuff is a lot of housekeeping and you guys don't probably need to know that. So, so definitely if you guys know of any welders, keep your eyes open. Tell them to definitely apply down at the port. And I think that's all my comments. Andrew used the rest of my time, so.
The date for the joint meeting that the council president just mentioned is February 11th. That would normally be a week off for all of you, so please keep that on your calendars.
2 months in a row for anybody counting.
It wasn't a Wednesday though.
Yeah.
He's going to hold that against us when it comes to decide whether he's going to run for this.
You can have any special meeting you want.
The first like 3-4 weeks or first 3-4 months of last year were
brutal.
We were in here, 2-3 times a week sometimes.
And she's ready for me.
I will be filling out that paperwork for you though, just so you know.
So I've covered most of the comments people have made to me, whether in the store or on the street or whatever. But a comment that I wanted to share from someone who we bonded within the first 6 months we were here. And one of the things this person has noticed is the change in demeanor in our city hall staff over the last few months. And I want to tip my hat to our leader, Rich, to the staff you've hired, the staff you've taken care of. Their willingness to actually work with the public has gone way up, according to this person. And they wanted to make sure I said this publicly so I wouldn't forget about it. And I'm going to say the same thing on Friday night to the folks that are there. The change is not just noticeable, but palpable. And I want to thank all of you for the role you played in all that. Because now we're getting back to the Toledo that I moved from that hellhole called Eugene for. It was to get back, yeah, thank you, Shauna. I'm sorry. If you grew up in the Mid-Willamette Valley between Corvallis and Eugene, Eugene was the hellhole and Corvallis was Nirvana. And so I want to leave you all with this one note. This is what makes Toledo different from almost every other city I've ever visited. Y'all care about each other and y'all try to work to find a way to fix whatever the issues are. That is not normal practice. And I really, really want to thank all of you for doing that and for stepping up into things you probably thought, I'll never have to deal with that. Like a train derailment on a trestle.
Wednesday morning.
On a random Wednesday morning. Thank you all. It goes noticed. So keep it up.
Well, not to keep us any later than we need to, but since you threw the recognition out, I've got to take the opportunity to just recognize the team that I lead. That was a big part of my interview process. Was I heard from everybody. The city has been through some turmoil, but the team that the next city manager is going to get to lead is a great team. And I heard it multiple times, and it's absolutely true. And I've said it before, and I will say it again. It is an absolute pleasure to be the city manager of this community and to lead this team. And I have felt the support and the trust that they have put in me, and it is an honor to lead them. But you only go as far as you know your team will take you. And I've got a great one. So I thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I make sure I shine the recognition where it really deserves to be. Thank you.
Now that you won't be firing the fire chief anymore.
I will absolutely not be firing the fire chief or any other staff in the fire department.
Sort of large at will.
Yes, indeed.
I'm a free agent, as it
He
were.
is. We were just talking about it earlier. We got to renew that contract, and now that we have that typo, he might be really holding
It's
it
not
over
really
me.
a binding contract, it's sort of an agreement.
Chief, talk to me. We'll fix it.
He'll probably use that mallet to do it.
So for those of you that are keeping track, we did 300 pages worth of a packet in less than 3 hours' time. We are adjourned.